Hello and welcome to the big program, everyone. We got Stacey Abrams in the hot seat right now as the investigation continues into that $2 billion boondoggle. Lee Zeldin has a few things to say on that, and it looks as though she's increasingly facing a lot, and I mean a lot of trouble. We're going to dig into that. Plus, oh wow, these markets are on fire. Did you see the stock market today? My gosh. Scotty Besson, wow, what a turnaround. He went over to Switzerland, talked to China. Apparently everything's hunky-dory now. And what do you know? The markets are off to the races. We're going to get into that. Drug prices. Donald Trump has forever made this a big, big cause of his. He wants to lower them. He's out today with an executive order demanding that we at least get fair treatment, right? Why should Europe get 80% off on drug prices? And we're paying the full boat. No, we're not going to subsidize anyone anymore. And okay, Qatar wants to give him a free plane. He's like, why should I pay $1 billion when they're willing to offer it for free? Wait till you hear what he said to the ABC News reporter who questioned him about it. I believe there was a little fake news name calling again in there. We're off to the races. Great to have you here. I'm Trish Regan. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. Stacey Abrams in the hot seat. You know, she's got this nonprofit that she was heavily involved in, that the Biden administration was giving tons and tons and tons. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars to. In fact, the whole sector, the whole space received some $22 billion. She got some 10% of that, around $2 billion, going to power forward communities and Rewiring America. Well, now Rewiring America has just announced it's having to lay everyone off. Well, I guess that's what happens. You know, when Donald Trump comes into office. Take a look. This is from Heat Map. Rewiring America slashed the staff due to Trump funding freeze. They can't get the money. They're suing this, that, and the other. I don't think they're ever going to get it because Trump administration is saying, what are you doing? Like, what were you doing, Joe Biden, giving Stacey Abrams $2 billion? You remember this company? It only had like $100 in profits. And they had to like teach everyone how to do some of the basic accounting things that you would do in business. They had like a little seminar for their employees because nobody knew how to do any of this stuff. And so they're like, hey, EPA Chief Lee Zeldin, remember, Congressman from New York? I know him well. He comes in and he's like looking at this after DOGE exposes this, saying, no way, no how. We're not going to actually be subsidizing this. What is this, for Stacey's, friends? They were giving out free stoves down in a little town in Georgia. She kind of implicated herself on this one. I want to go back. This would have been about maybe 8 weeks ago. She appeared on MSNBC and frankly kind of incriminated herself in all this because if you ask me, you want to know what this was about? This was about buying votes. My 2 cents on it, okay? Because they were out there giving out free appliances to people and they were committing some $2 billion to do it. Come on. What the heck was that all about? She's like, oh no, I was just doing a good deed. I was showing how you can cut your electricity bill in half if we just give you new appliances. Well, the company's going down the tubes. There's an investigation going on. They've slashed 28% of their workforce. Here she is, Stacey Abrams, speaking with her favorite buddy. Well, I don't know, maybe a toss-up between Rachel and Chris, but I can't tell the two of them apart. Can you? Here we go.
One of the ironies of the attack on you, and I'm going to play what he did, was that my understanding is the program at the source of this whole thing is a program to lower costs for people. Do I have that top line correct?
You have it absolutely right.
Okay, so I'm gonna play what he had to say, and then I'm going to ask you to explain what the program is that was such an obvious, ludicrous laugh line for the Republicans there. Take a listen.
$1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her?
Okay, so what is this organization? What is your relation to it, and what does it do?
In 2023 and 2024, I led a program called Vitalizing DeSoto. We worked in a tiny town in South Georgia to demonstrate that by replacing energy inefficient appliances with efficient appliances, you can lower your costs. And in fact, we accomplished that. For 75% of the community, they got appliances that are lowering their bills right now. We had one woman who saw her electric bill cut in half from $180 to $98. That's what we delivered. And based on that program, a coalition of organizations, famous organizations, came together and said to the EPA, if we can do this here, we can do this for millions more Americans. Let us invest the money of America in lowering the cost for Americans. And the EPA said, okay, great, go for it.
Go for it, right? Because, hey, you're our buddies, you're on our team, and we're all blue here, and we care about green energy and this, that, and the other. So why not sock $2 billion into it and maybe pick up a little votes along the way? This whole thing is being investigated as we speak by Lee Zeldin. And the reason it's being investigated is because you have a company that kind of came up out of nowhere. Some people have referred to it as an NGO pop-up, a pop-up because even when you look, and I reviewed some of their accounting documentation, when you look through that documentation, they didn't even have all the pages filled out, right? There's like 44 pages. They barely had any of it filled out. They didn't know how to do basic accounting issues to the point where they had to have a seminar on it. And in the case of Stacey Abrams' nonprofit, she had only had $100 in revenue. So why would you entrust a company that only has done $100 in revenue with $2 billion? Now, apparently she's been distancing herself from this company. Remember, she was the senior counsel, legal counsel to them, but she's since been backing away. Of course, hey, Stacey's got big aspirations. She wants to go on to be the next Georgia governor. Of course, she still thinks she is the Georgia governor. Remember, she's like the only politician that can get away with actually insisting that she still won the election. I mean, in all seriousness, Donald Trump couldn't say that, but Stacey Abrams perfectly fine. And then they do a big New York Times weekend cover spread on her where they just talk about her dating life, how tough it must be to date because, you know, you're in such high demand if you're Stacey Abrams. Anyway, she wants to go on and be the governor of Georgia. Good luck with that, Stacey, honey baby. I think you might actually have a better shot of winding up in jail.
EPA has now canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts. $2 billion going to this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. They received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs, and they're all pass-throughs. And then they were giving it to other entities. Many of them were pass-throughs. And what you have is all these extra middlemen, they're taking their cut. And the taxpayer ends up getting screwed. They're losing out on all this hard-earned money. They can't afford to have the federal government waste. The partnership with DOGE and Elon Musk has been incredible at EPA. Their team is very talented. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And of course, this mandate from President Trump to make sure that we identify every last penny, whether we're saving $50,000, $5 million, or $22 billion. We will not rest until every last penny is saved. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do this for the American public.
Oh, it's pretty great. I mean, it's crazy. You think about the government waste in general, right? And DOGE was able to expose so much, but $22 billion, I'm just blown away by. And the idea that like this lady's getting it, come on. Well, now that the money spigot has been turned off, she's getting creative. She's looking for new ways to earn money. I'm going to get to that in a second. But before I do, one other moment for you. You know, she's got a podcast. She's like going on the podcast saying, we've got to call out Donald Trump, this, that, and the other. Here she is speaking recently on CNN about it. She's really moaning and groaning because, you know, she's lost her gravy train. So much for that really great gravy train, right?
During the speech or after?
I have a podcast called Assembly Required, and we have been having this conversation for the last 6 weeks. And we have to do all of the above. We have to call out Donald Trump on his lies. We have to point out that an unelected oligarch is doing his best to steal America from its people, and Elon Musk. We have a complicit Congress that is allowing him to fire thousands of people who should be delivering services to Americans. And he is now starting trade wars to cover for the fact that he has failed to deliver on his day one promises. Donald Trump is an early failure, and he's hoping that by attacking folks like me and others that we won't notice that he has failed and that he has no intention of delivering anything other than retribution. He is a petty tyrant who is surrounded by complicit flunkies, and it is the job of Americans to stand up and say, we want what we voted for, and that is progress for America, not petty revenge for Donald Trump.
But in the subject of pettiness, even what Democrats were doing during the speech with the signs of what Al Green did, you don't find that petty?
I do not, because in an opposition position, your job is to show people what is true. And we have a president who's doing his best to clamp down on the media, to shut down on protest. He does not want us to use our First Amendment rights. Let's not forget who is in power. They control both branches of government, and they have appointed the majority of the Supreme Court. If Republicans can't deliver when they hold all of the power, then what they're telling us is that they're powerless, and it's up to Americans to take our power back, to take our country back, and to create the future that we deserve.
Stacey Abrams, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah. And you go on and become the governor of Georgia, and we'll see how that goes for the state of Georgia. Unbelievable. By the way, just, if you want to keep track of this stuff, we actually have a market that's on fire right now. You get the S&P up 2.6%. You get the NASDAQ up nearly 4%. You get the Dow up 2.25%. And why is that? Oh, because we're actually getting a trade deal with China. And actually, this is a trade deal that's going to work out for us. What do you know? Hey, maybe that's a good thing. We got a stronger dollar right now. Again, maybe that's a good thing. Unbelievable to me. What are they going to do, these people, when it turns out this whole thing is a giant success? Well, Stacey Abrams, minus her $2 billion and her little pet projects, is moving on to other things. In fact, the latest and greatest is a children's book. I guess this is how she's raking in the bucks. I mean, hey, isn't this the book you always wanted to read? Stacey Speaks Up. We have to watch it because it's worth a laugh.
Well, Stacey Speaks Up is the story of little Stacey and a day in the cafeteria when she notices one of her classmates can't afford lunch. She wrestles with what it means to need an adult's help, but to believe that she might be the only solution. And so she takes it upon herself to gather her friends and see if she can tackle the issue of hunger, but also, think about what it means to speak up for someone else.
Okay. I could go a lot of places with that. I just won't. But suffice it to say, the woman's a socialist who cares a lot about lining her own pockets, and in my estimation, is willing to just completely refute the truth in order to continue lining her own pockets. And she's coming up with more clever ways to line them in light of the $2 billion spigot gravy train being gone. Isn't it nice? Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this stock market. We are soaring here. We get the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as I said. Boy, this is killing Stacey, is it not? Up better than 2%. NASDAQ up almost 4%. S&P up 2.66%. Really just an incredible thing to see. I mean, we are up. I'm guessing, I spoke with my colleague at 76 Research this morning, and just as the market opened, we were up about 17% from Liberation Day. Thank you, Scotty B, the Treasury Secretary. We're up, given this upside, probably even higher right now. So really a tremendous thing to see. And Donald Trump is saying, look, we're going to see more of it. I mean, here he is with the drug executive order out today, and he's pointing out, we're going to get to this in a little bit, drug prices to be cut by 59% plus, gas, energy, groceries, all other costs down, no inflation, love DJT. Well, what did he say on Thursday, guys? What did he say? What have I been telling you? He said it right out loud. Buy stocks, right? Because things were coming. The promising deals were on the way. We knew that Scott was going to be meeting with his Chinese counterpart in Switzerland, and here we go. Oh, they'll say this is insider trading. Of course, they may have a problem with that because you see, insider trading would involve not actually telling people anything at all. But what did he do? He went on national television and told everybody to buy stocks. I hope he did.
It's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know, we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill. And if that happens on top of all of these trade deals that we're doing, this country will hit a point that you better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. If we get that, if you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. If it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. It's terrible what's happened to the Democrats. So very, very important element of everything, of what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a little plug too for 76 Research, because if you're trying to buy stocks right now and you're not sure what to do or where to go, we can help you a little bit. It's my company. I started with Rob Horton, dear friend, longtime investor, brilliant investor, and we've seen a lot of success. I want you to be able to partake in that. Go to 76research.com. It costs just $1 a month. You're getting the best in class research with no strings attached. In other words, there's no biases built in. There's no, okay, we're going to get paid on the back end if we do this, that, or the other. None of that. So go check it out, 76research.com. We also have portfolios for you there as well. Just looking at some of the great portfolios. We have American Resilience for Growth. We get Inflation Protection. We get Income Builder. It's all there for you. Income Builder is good if you want to be able to retire one day, right? And get an income coming in the door. So all good stuff. Well, you guys, I didn't even tease this one off the top. This is incredible. The DHS body cam video. Have you seen this? This just got released late yesterday. And remember, we were talking on Friday about the Newark mayor who was out there protesting at the ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, and he was joined by those Congress people. It turns out they arrested the Newark mayor, and it looks like there's an investigation now into the Congress people. I got some unbelievable footage I got to show you of this LaMonica McIver who's out there. This is incredible. She's the lady in red, by the way.
We should let viewers know there will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body...
I'm going to get back to that, because that's actually government officials saying we are going to be seeing more arrests. But before we get to that, Monica McIver, unbelievable, out speaking here, and it's sort of almost poetic. Every single time she tries to say something, the train just derails her. Remember the train. Watch it.
How this administration is trying to restrict Congress from doing their bare duties and the responsibilities that the people have elected us to do. What we just witnessed was just disgusting. I am very upset. I am very angry, and I am very hurt that they could be able to do something like that to us. These are people who are supposed to be officers, who are supposed to protect us, and they have done none of that. If they can treat 3 members of Congress like that, just imagine how they can treat people on the street each and every day, both undocumented and people who are citizens here in this country. It makes absolutely no sense to arrest the mayor of the largest city of this state who did nothing wrong. He went inside of the gate and told them that he was waiting for us to come out because we were conducting an oversight visit. They asked him to leave.
Right? It just couldn't stop happening over and over and over and over again. Every time she tried to say something, it was, rather clever timing. Anyway, Monica is being investigated now because you see there's some new footage that was leaked from DHS, this body cam footage, and apparently she got rather aggressive. If you're watching this, what you're seeing there is Monica in red. She's being accused of actually body slamming one of the ICE officers. I'm trying to see it. I don't necessarily see it in this particular video, but that is what she is being accused of. And this is just outrageous. I mean, to think that your congresspeople, there are 2 congresspeople there, and the mayor of Newark are engaging in this kind of effectively, disobedience, violence, if you can call it that. It's pretty discouraging, only in that, look, guys, law and order actually does matter. And if you're a congressperson, if you're a mayor, you should actually be standing up for the law, right? And in this case, they are trespassing. They have been asked repeatedly to leave. You see her. And again, we're looking at this body cam footage. I mentioned this for those of you that are listening on the audio podcast on Spotify or Apple. Thank you for listening. We so appreciate that. But again, I just want to walk you through what was going on. Here you see... Yeah, in that case, you saw the footage of the mayor in the crowd here.
You cannot push Get over her!
You are fascists! This is people!
Get off of her! Oh, yes. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, so again, you see that the mayor was arrested. He has since been released, but it is an ongoing investigation because, again, you cannot have an environment where state and federal law are at such odds. I mean, this is one, and I've said it, I'm going to say it again, the Constitution is on the side of the feds here. This is ICE's jurisdiction. They had every right to be there, and these guys coming in and saying, we're going to storm the detention center for ICE, like it's not flying. You can't do it. And here's Alina Habba, newly installed in her position there in New Jersey. She's not having it. She went on to Fox News as this whole thing was going on live and said, look, we're not standing for this, period. End of story. The law is the law. You got it?
What's happening?
Well, I can confirm, as I have publicly stated, that we have put the mayor, Ras Baraka, under arrest. It's very simple, Martha. As I've said, in the state of New Jersey, as Pam Bondi has said in the United States, we will not stand for anybody getting in the way of getting rid of criminals in this country. It's very simple. Unfortunately, the mayor has publicly for 3 days been saying that he's going to break in, eventually did break in, was given multiple opportunities to remove himself, failed to do so, and has been detained and will be charged.
And where is he being held?
I'm not going to speak to that right now. He's obviously in New Jersey.
But he's in custody.
Yes. He has been arrested and will be charged.
So the report of these individuals, and we have a live, this might be from earlier, this particular video. This is from earlier. Okay, we're going to go back to the live shot in a moment. But these two members of Congress, can you explain the description of breaking into this facility, exactly what they did?
I'm not going to speak to things that are currently obviously under investigation. I think that if you look at their Twitter, they were very public about it. Look, here's what I'll say, Martha, very generally. There is a problem in this country with breaking the law for the purpose of grandstanding and political hierarchy. That will not stand in my state. That will not stand in this country. Pam Bondi has been very clear of it. If you want to take taxpayer dollars and fly to Venezuela or wherever and meet with MS-13 gang members and use your name to encourage criminals in this country, that will not work here. It's very simple. My job as U.S. Attorney in New Jersey is to protect the New Jersey citizens, to prosecute them, and to run the feds. And that is what we're doing. And when the mayor decides to break the law, when congressmen sneak through gates, there's a problem with that. The truth of the matter is this. We have zero tolerance. As one of my very favorite attorney generals said, no one is above the law. And that is the truth. No one is above the law. But I will tell you one difference between this current administration and the DOJ is we're going to prosecute criminals that are hurting our country, hurting our states. I am very much on board with that in a very much unpolitical way. I don't care who you are. If you do it, we will come after you. And it is very simple. The mayor was asked to be removed. He was asked several times. He chose not to. And now we are in the current circumstance, which is unfortunate.
Look, she's right. And I'm going to go back to just the law the way it is. And whether you want to go to the Commerce Clause, whether you want to go to the power of the Congress to have the uniform rule of naturalization, which actually is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, or you want to go to the Supremacy Clause, meaning Article 6, Clause 2, it's all there. And just to cite the Supremacy Clause, because I think this is important, there's this breakdown where somehow these states, people like Letitia James, think that they have supremacy over the federal government. And the reality is that they don't, because the Supremacy Clause with Article 6, Clause 2 basically ensures that the federal immigration laws override whatever it is that the state laws may be. So while states are trying to enforce immigration independently, right? We get that. We've seen that over and over and over again in New York and New Jersey, all over the country. California, the Supreme Court has actually struck down some of those efforts. Consider Arizona, for example, with their SB 1070 law. That was struck down by the Supreme Court in Arizona versus the United States back in 2012. On top of that, you have the executive power, right? The executive branch, which has the authority to enforce immigration laws, to interpret visa laws, to interpret asylum rules, and manage border enforcement. So this is not actually something that's up for debate. I mean, you can take it to the Supreme Court if you so desire, people, but what you're going to find is that the federal government and the president of the United States and the State Department, they are the ones with the jurisdiction here. So it will get thrown out. In the meantime, you just create a whole ruckus and we get to see, Monica, forgive me, La Monica, it kind of has a certain roll off the tongue. La Monica. I like saying that. MacGyver. Out there along with Robert Menendez. I guess he's a relation to the guy who's been thrown in jail for his bad doings. I mean, do you feel like a banana republic or what? Getting honked at every time she speaks.
How this administration is trying to restrict Congress from doing their bare duties and the responsibilities that the people have elected us to do. What we just witnessed was just disgusting. I am very upset. I am very angry, and I am very hurt that they could be able to do something like that.
I'll tell you, what's disgusting? What's disgusting is the DHS body cam footage that has been released showing that you were just a nuisance, a problem to law enforcement.
Hold it. Back up. Back up now. Over there. What are you doing? What are you doing? Goddamn Gestapo, that's what you are. New Jersey's Gestapo, right here.
No, that's not the Gestapo. And you know what? As I said, there is an investigation ongoing. Let's hear from a DHS official speaking on CNN just yesterday. Here we go.
We should let viewers know there will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
You say a video of members of Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
Okay, and so if you have that video, are you suggesting that members of Congress will be arrested who were there yesterday?
This is an ongoing investigation, and that is definitely on the table.
Who has the video?
ICE does, and we will be releasing that very shortly.
Okay. Let's talk about...
Okay, so they did release it, and that's when I want to go back to, again, this coming out. This is the leaked body cam footage. Monica MacGyver being caught. You can see her in red, body slamming potentially. They'll probably likely have more to come, but at least this is what we've got so far. I want to go back to it. We can watch it again together. Guys, did you hear that? She said, you can't talk to a congresswoman like that.
off of her. Get off of her. You cannot push it. You cannot Congress. You can't push members of Congress. Get off of her.
You are fascist. This is peaceful.
Get off of her. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow. So again, you see the mayor being carted off. He's since been released. I want to bring up something that I saw Leslie mention in the comments. A lot of you have been saying, like, is this an insurrection? Like, what exactly was that, right? Like, it kind of felt like an insurrection. I mean, they've gone after J6, which seemed a heck of a lot more peaceful at times than anything we saw there in that video. And they're saying, you can't arrest us. You can't arrest us. Gosh, guys, you just like stampeded onto federal property. I mean, I don't know what you expect to have happen. You're going to get arrested, okay? Like, that's just the way it is. And I think more on this is about to come out. Donald Trump making a big announcement today on drug prices. We were showing you this, his Truth Social post. He's like, man, I'm on a roll, right? Drug prices to be cut by 59%, plus gasoline, energy, groceries, and all other gas down. No inflation. Love DJT. I'm telling you, we're off to the races, baby. And this is pretty darn nice. I want to go to the video of him right now talking about slashing drug prices, and he's making the point, like, what's the deal? Like, in Europe you can go and pay one price, but here somehow it's that much more. And he kind of uses a funny example with what he calls the fat drug. He keeps a sense of humor about it, you gotta admit. Here we go.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. Highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. Said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
What is going on? Well, you know what's going on. So we have all the R&D here, and we charge a lot. The pharmaceutical companies charge a lot for the drugs that are then issued here, but they can't get the same prices because there's a whole different set of rules over in the UK and throughout Europe. So for whatever reason, we're basically subsidizing the entire pharmaceutical industry. And for a while, we've been like, well, okay, you know, why not? Because we wind up getting all kinds of great research and great drugs, et cetera. But Trump's coming along and he's like, but this doesn't make any sense. You know why? It's just not fair. There's something fundamentally unfair. And he's right. Like, why is it that we are having to pay so much more? He's like, no. We're going to get the most favored nation status now. We're going to do this. And, you know, maybe this is what it takes. Somebody that's willing to stand up to these companies.
But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations. That's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle. But the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America. but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here.
I mean, it's incredible, right? Like, how did this never ever happen before? And what are the Democrats going to do on this one? You're going to sit there and say, oh, no, we don't want lower drug prices? I mean, is this not a huge issue? And finally, he's saying, forget about it. We're going to get the best, most favored nation status. And you know what's interesting? Rob and I were talking about this earlier today at 76 Research. You would think that the drug companies would be plummeting on this news, but no, they're not, actually. They're kind of hanging in there. So rather interesting on many, many different levels. Again, suggesting that the industry is actually going to be fine. It's just that we're going to shift, and maybe the consumer is actually going to be fine going forward, which is a really, really, really important development. Another important development, we're going to learn much more this week about big media and the big media cover-up in the whole Joe Biden scandal. You know it well. You know it well. Well, there was lots of cover-up going on for a whole bunch of time. But it's in part because you've got this fake news apparatus that just chooses to do whatever it wants to do to support the deep state, effectively. This came up again today because Donald Trump has been offered a plane by Qatar. Now, Boeing, for whatever reason, can't seem to get its act together and deliver the plane. It's been ordered, and they've had delay after delay after delay after delay, and they've had all kinds of problems, and for whatever reason, Boeing can't get its act together and can't get the parts together, and so he can't get a new Air Force One. So Qatar came along and said, hey, we'll give you one, and we won't even charge you for it. And the media's kind of flipping out. And like, look, I get it. Like, you kind of want to have an American-made plane and you kind of want to not have any appearance of conflict, et cetera. But Donald Trump's such a realist that he's like, heck, they're going to give me a plane for free? Like, why wouldn't I take that deal? Why charge taxpayers $1 billion if I can get a plane for free, man, right? He slammed an ABC reporter as she asked this question. It's pretty epic. Let's watch.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC, well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. There was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto. When they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. And then they putt it and they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, as a businessman, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received anything?
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster.
Right. Yeah, and by the way, the FCC's coming for ABC. Don't forget, Brennan Carr's made that very, very clear, including with multiple letters to Bob Iger. You listening, Whoopi? Anyway, that's really amazing. So he's saying, hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, basically. This is a great opportunity. Why wouldn't I take this? Here he is explaining it again. Important to understand.
But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying.
Hang tight. We're going to get another soundbite of the president here reporting that Qatar is willing to give him this, willing to give the Defense Department this. And he says, look, I'm not a stupid person. I could be a stupid person and I could say no, but why would I do that? Because, Sam Snead, the golfer.
On Qatar, has Qatar asked for anything in exchange for that $400 million luxury jumbo jet? And how can the American people be so sure that they will not in the future?
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. We have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. And if you take a look at that compared to the new plane of the equivalent stature at the time. It's not even the same ballgame. You look at some of the Arab countries and the planes they have parked alongside of the United States of America plane. It's like from a different planet. And it's close to 40 years old, might be more than 40 years old now. And we, when I first came in, I signed an order to get it built. I took it over from the Obama administration. They had originally agreed. I got the price down much lower. And then when the election didn't exactly work out the way that it should have, a lot of work was not done on the plane because a lot of people didn't know. They made change orders that were so stupid, so ridiculous. And it ended up being a total mess, a real mess. And when I came back, I said, by the way, what's going on with the Boeings that are coming in? Well, sir, they're way behind. And they are. They're way behind. They were way behind. Another mess that I inherited from Biden. And it's going to be a while before we get them. And I think Qatar, who has really, we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it. And they said, we would like to do something. And if we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person, say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now. And I think this was just a gesture of good faith.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who...
It was quite a gesture. And of course, you've got all kinds of good things going on right now as a result of what happened with the trade agreement, of what happened there with drug prices coming down and the overall sort of optimism that you can feel sort of effectively in the air. I want to go to more sound because the president just spoke out and said, look, we've turned the corner with China. We're going to get a deal here. We got a 90-day pause as they work out some of the details here, but it sounds like a 10% increase in tariffs. I want to go to the president speaking moments ago on.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs.
Wow. Okay. So lots of good news. Unc Andy, thank you for the generosity. Much appreciated. I had the nicest viewers here. Anyway, it's not just Donald Trump who's saying that. You're also hearing now from Scott Bessent, who went over there and really kind of, I mean, he's just revived everything. Remember after Liberation Day, there was a lot of hand wringing. Well, now Scott Bessent comes in and I'm looking at some video feed being fed from Bloomberg right now. And he's saying the Chinese delegation basically told us that once Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations. Are you kidding me? So like Biden didn't enforce anything. They ignored it. This is a rather remarkable thing that Scott is saying. Let's listen quickly.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both
what has to happen is it has to be fair for the American people. But in January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations.
It's kind of like surreal, right? I mean, you're like, what was going on? Like, who was in charge of what? Who was running the country, for goodness sakes? I mean, this is what's going to come out now. There's a big media cover-up that's going to be exposed. It's definitely going to be exposed. Scott Jennings, who's like the only Republican on CNN, so we give him lots of props for going on that channel, which nobody watches. But maybe they need to like replicate a few more Scotts, and they might be in a better situation. He went on, and he was making the point that there are going to be a lot of people in the Democrat establishment and in the media that are going to get exposed over this. Let's take a listen.
Watching him on The View today and watching some of the interviews he did over
for your viewership.
Yeah, I saw it. It's rare for me, but I did watch it.
You like Anna. That's what it is.
I will just say, watching him over the last few days reminded me that a whole bunch of people were telling us with a straight face that this man was capable of serving another 4 years as president. And that these appearances, coupled with what I understand is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped on the Democratic Party when Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book come out next week, I don't know that the Democrats have fully internalized what's about to happen to them. Between what he looks like today and what they're about to report, get ready.
I am not sure that Joe. You just said that you said that he told Kamala Harris that she could not have any distance from him.
It's been reported. He told
it doesn't
her
matter what he
blank.
was.
He told her point blank, no daylight, kid, no daylight.
Because reporting can never be wrong?
Are you attacking the journalism around it?
You think reporting can never be wrong?
If you
come in and you come on here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him the question
There's critical
directly.
reporting about this guy, and he told her point blank, no daylight.
We asked him directly today. Right. Did you tell her that?
You think he's ever told a lie?
I don't think he tells many lies.
Cognitive decline, I can tell you that much.
I don't think he tells many lies. I don't think he's done.
Come on.
Wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election and that lies about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's in Jake. Have you read it? Have you read it?
Guys, we got to go. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Well, that kind of became unhinged really fast. So here's the thing. Scott's right. The media did lie. Anna's wrong. Like she's actually part of the cover-up, right? The View is a big part of the cover-up. So is MSNBC. So is CNN. And, the irony of this is he's saying, when Jake Tapper's book comes out this week, and I'm like, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. I'm sorry. Jake Tapper was one of the biggest proponents of the lie. Okay, and now Jake Tapper is so gross enough that he is going to try to make a buck off of the very lies by telling you a whole bunch more lies. And you know what? I got the tape, so I'm going to just show you. Remember when he went after Lara Trump pretty spectacularly, accusing her of being really mean, and what do you say to kids that stutter all over the country because you're trying to say that Joe Biden just stutters, or rather, Joe Biden has some kind of mental decline when he just has a stutter. No. This was so much more than a stutter. And you know what? Jake Tapper, you are a schmuck for trying to make a buck after the fact, after you did this. Crummy people, I'll tell you.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to watch somebody on stage
that's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses. diagnosing
years
politicians
ago, of 10
from
years
afar.
ago.
Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar, I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
You just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive
we can clearly
decline.
see that Joe Biden
I have
is
one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
Yeah. What a dirtbag is right. Remember this particular video? Actually, I gotta say, what a dirtbag is right. I'm just looking at your comments here in real time. This is the video where I really just developed a love for Georgia Maloney. I mean, in fact, not disputing the fact that she's conservative, which means, I love her even more. But here she is. She went out of her way to go and get poor Joe. And you can see how slow he's moving as he tries to put on his sunglasses. He had been distracted by the people with the parachutes over on the side. And they were supposed to be doing a photo op. And she's just such a nice lady. She went over there and got him. And it really showed you some insight, I think, into her character. Piece of my mind writing, journalism is just dead. That's what this shows you. It's so gross. I mean, the guy who sat there and fought with Lara Trump over her saying it didn't seem like Joe was in the best of health is now putting out a book about how the media totally tried to cover this up, but he covered it up. Like he was one of the chief engineers of that. And then he's so proud of the fact that once the debate came around and we could see that Joe Biden was in really, really bad shape and it was broadcast live and nobody could do anything more about it, that's when he decided to fire off, I guess, when his buddy George Clooney and David Plouffe and David Axelrod and Barack Obama all got together and they said, okay, now we got to take him down. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, you weren't going to win with him. You weren't going to win with Kamala. And you weren't going to win because you had lousy policies. You just heard from Scott Bessent, Scotty B, saying the Chinese told them nobody bothered to enforce anything with Biden. Like nobody was doing anything, okay? They were, other than giving out $22 billion to the likes of all these green energy sweetheart deals and NGOs like Stacey Abrams' whole thing with, Power Forward, the NGO pop-ups that were getting $2 billion. That's all they were doing. It was one big gravy train. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. So sure, okay, the media is going to get exposed and it should be exposed. I don't like the idea that Jake Tapper thinks he's doing the expose because he's the one that needs to be exposed. Hypocrisy, right? Anyway, here's Rachel Maddow's replacement, who's just sinking fast. If you thought Rachel was bad, check out this chick, Peppermint Patty. You've never seen such bad numbers.
I hadn't seen him in person during that period of time. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. Aging happens quite quickly. Cover up is a very loaded term, I think.
Well, it means you knew that it was really bad and you're pretending otherwise versus you're deluding yourself, which I think is what people do a lot.
Well, I understand, but I still think it's like cover up is often like a crime, right? People use that term as they relate to Watergate or the covering up of not sharing public information about a war.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of a dangerous term.
Right, because, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Just a teeny little smidge. I don't know. You and KGP and Jake Tapper and, how could I forget, guys? This is the best one of all. This one will live in infamy. Do I have the right soundbite? I think I do. Joe Scarborough, best Biden ever.
Guy's mental state, I've said it for years now. He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, I don't really care. Start your tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second.
Yeah. Okay, so they lied. And they're going to continue lying. And that's what's so challenging and tough about the mainstream media business right now. But you know what? It's okay, right? Because we're here and we just passed 750,000 subs. Thank you for all the praise I'm seeing from some Andy, and then a piece of my mind who actually sent me a message on Twitter. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for that. And wow, what a day to hit 750,000. We're upwards of that now. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff so that you know when I am here. I want to go to the markets right now because, again, as I've been saying, it's been a heck of a day for the stock market. And this is because you've got lots of optimism right now on the China deal. So, you know, some of the Democrats are getting a little bit annoyed about it at this moment. They're like, oh, no, well, Biden did this too. And I'm like, I don't think Biden did this too. I don't remember Biden doing this too. Do you guys remember Biden doing this too? Julie Reginsky, who used to be at Fox with me, actually, a liberal on Fox. She was one of the liberals that they had on the 5. She is on another liberal program and platform right now on CNN saying, oh, but this was Biden's idea. Okay, well, if it was Biden's idea, he didn't get it to first base. I'm sorry.
And Julie, while we are standing by in the White House for the president to speak, again, we expect he'll talk about tariffs, but this is an event surrounding an executive order signing a document on drug pricing where he's going to, I think, suggest essentially the U.S. won't pay on Medicare, Medicaid for drugs any more than the lowest price paid by other countries. What do you think of the president getting in, making this kind of statement on drug pricing?
Joe Biden did this, if you remember. He just didn't know how to communicate it right. But I mean, this actually passed Congress and was signed into law by the president, former president, under the former administration, which allowed them to negotiate drug prices through Medicare and Medicaid. Look, I'm all for it. I'm glad the president is doing it. I'm very happy they're no longer in a thrall to Big Pharma, but we'll see what happens because these executive orders tend to come and tend to go depending on who decides to have the presidency at the last moment. The law is in place already. And when Democrats passed that law under the last administration, Republicans opposed it tooth and nail. So again, I'm glad to see that they're coming around, but it's just interesting to me that they will never come around to anything that's not coming out of President Trump's mouth, even though it's exactly something that President Biden did under the law in the last administration.
Funny, I don't remember that. You guys? I will say it's a pretty darn good day. I love seeing the upside in the market like we're seeing. I love seeing him winning. I think America's in a really, really good spot. If you agree with me, make sure you're investing in it. Go to 76 Research, 76research.com. Use my code word dollar. Go look at those model portfolios that I've set up for you. 3 of them, and they're way up. They're way up. Let's make sure that you have a stake in this glorious future that is going to be Trump's America. Thank you for being here, everyone. We are growing, up 750,000 to now on subs here on this live show. I'm going to see you back here live with more tomorrow and a few more things coming your way, believe it or not, this afternoon.